All right, this morning I'm going to be installing this kit on a Toyota 4Runner. It is 4 of the SS5 combo. Basically makes a light bar essentially. It comes with a bracket, all the wiring harness, the splitters, and side mounts for the mounting bracket that holds all of the pods. But we got a nice TRD Pro here. We installed the Morimoto assemblies not too long ago, and the SS3 fog lights, and this kit will be situated right behind the grill. So it's gonna fill it in really nicely. Can't wait to see how it all works out. All right, the 4Runner bumper is pretty easy to remove. Sitting here, again, already had the Lightwerkz fog lights installed, the SS3s, and the light bar kit will essentially sit right here on a bracket. In between that Toyota safety sense sensor that's in the middle, so you got 2 pods on each side. And I'll keep you posted on how this looks. All right, I just unwrapped the main mounting bracket, and these are the side mounting brackets. Check out the thickness of this bar. It's really good to see. I've installed a bunch of Lightwerkz light bars, and I always felt like if it's a long bar, you know, it's got more weight to it, and if it's flimsy, it kind of moves and rattles over time. This is really great because these pods are ginormous and heavy duty. You need a good mounting bracket, so I really like this. I don't know what thickness that is, but definitely adequate. So, all right, so really clever integration here by Lightwerkz. There's a air dam on the side. You take out this little plastic clip, you slip in the new hardware. So it's basically attached to the body, and you loosen up a center 14mm screw that holds on the crash bar, and you got the side brackets essentially installed that way. And then you use 2 screws on each side and get that center bracket lined up. And that is how the mounting bracket for the center SS5 pods will be situated. And I'll tell you what, this thing feels absolutely solid, and I love the way that they've integrated this. But it retains everything. You're not losing anything, you're keeping your air dams, and you got a nice mounting area for these pods. All right, the next step was to install all the hardware. So this is able to be swiveled. These are hand tight right now. That's what the back of the pod looks like, the front, and we'll be able to align these in just a moment. But these are universal pods, so essentially you're putting it together yourself. You got the hardware to mount it onto that bar, and I'll be doing that next. All right, the 4 SS5s are now mounted. It's not rocket science. I made sure everything is lined up here. It's nice and level. You could take out a tape measure if you want. I use the old finger trick here, make sure everything looks good spacing wise. Yeah, you want everything level because these can just be tilted. They said to keep these hand tight. I actually tighten them down pretty good because you can kind of just force it up and down, and that way it's nice and tight. You can't really get in here later to tighten those down without removing the pod or turning it. So I think it's better just to get it all fully set up, and that way, you know, just visually, you can tell if one is pointing down or up. In fact, I might need to adjust them just a little bit, but they look really straight and even if you take a look at it. So far, really impressed with this kit though. It's really heavy duty, really solid. I mean, this whole thing, nothing moves, just the pod. Like, you're not gonna have any bouncing or any shaking, that's for sure. So overall, first class product from Lightwerkz. Can't wait to turn this on. We're gonna wire it up next. All right, this is the wired harness laid out. I could have taken a video of it all wrapped up, but it doesn't make sense. Once you unwind it, you're a little bit overwhelmed, but it's actually really straightforward. They provide you with a switched line that runs into the cabin. You can disconnect it. You're gonna need to run these through the firewall. So that's just a really long line, and here you just have 2 outputs running to the pods. There's also splitters because we're doing 4 instead of just 2. And then you have a simple connection to the battery. So takes a little bit of time to set this up, but it's not difficult, it's just tedious. I always get started with the wiring harness next to the battery, do the battery connections, take out the fuse, and we'll be going in through the firewall. Back there, there's a little nipple that you can cut off and get right through the firewall on the 4Runner. And then we'll mount the switch and we'll be able to turn this baby on. All right, the wiring is all ran. You got the splitter behind each one. You got a point right here that I zip tied. That'll be behind the sensor so you won't see it. There's a lot of slack because this is a universal cable. I decided to hide it right underneath the driver's side headlight. Got the relay mounted over here just to the side. The wiring is not super long, so it's got to be next to the battery. You can use a self-tapping screw. Some customers don't like that, but if this is solid, it's fine. And we just got one line left. It is essentially the switch line. It's got to go into the cabin. I de-pinned the white connector because otherwise it's a little bit bulky. I cut off that nipple and then put a coat hanger through, and I'm going to tape the wiring on the other side and pull it through from the inside of the cabin, essentially. Yeah, I've got my wire and switch here, and it's a little tight in there, so I'm not gonna get in there with the phone, but I will pull this through once I tape it onto the hanger. All right, so what the hell am I talking about, right? Let's get in here. All right, that hanger is through. You can see the white hanger, and I've taped this up. You gotta really hope for the best here. This is quite thick. These wiring is quite thick. This is my first attempt at it. This part takes a while. Sometimes either you get it or you don't. Luckily, that hole is pretty large in the firewall, and it'll be perfect seal for these wires, but I'm going to slowly tug it in from this area. We'll see how it works. All right, the first attempt did not work, but the second one did. I ended up cutting off those gold terminals. They're just too thick for this. I don't want to make the hole bigger in the grommet there, but I was able to tape it. When you tape it, tape like 6 to 8 inches. That way you get a nice strong bite on your pulling tool, and you can get all this through. But I'm going to undo the tape now and make the connection, and I can also make the wiring length appropriate so we don't have a huge excess of wiring over here. All right, I've shortened up the length. That way everything can stay over here. We got these, I think they're butt connectors. They're called Permaseal connectors. They basically shrink down with heat. That way, we don't use that white clip that was there anymore because it's just not realistic to get through there. I'll pull this back, zip tie everything off, and then work on the switch internally and tape this up as well so it's clean. All right, final step over here. Everything's tidied up. Well, final step, I gotta get the bumper back on, but as far as the challenging part, we got their switch line. I'm going to pull these spades off the back of the switch. I pulled out this blank. This is usually a little bit difficult to work with. I don't know how the blank will work out right here. I don't want to drill it into something that would need to be replaced, so it's better to drill it into a blank. I will attempt to make that work. I'm not sure if either of these would be better, but we're gonna give this a shot. Just gotta center it off and see how it fits. But this just slits, you know, pops right out. You can push out the blank, and wish me luck here. All right, I've used a combination of an ultrasonic cutting tool and a little wheel. Took out all the pieces. Very slow process. You need to pretty much slowly extract this. In a second, I'm going to clean this up with a razor blade and push that switch in. It will fit, but you're always, you know, a cut or a drum sand away from making it too large or just bailing out on the whole thing. So take your time, make sure it's centered, make sure you got enough space, and push it in. All right, here we are. I fed the wiring through. I took a picture of the orientation of how the wiring was set up in here, and I will make sure it's the same way. Plug it in and push it in, and then we're all set to go. Our switch should be fully functional. I just got to clean up that switch a little bit, but it does fit. Everything works. I popped in my fuse, double checking that the lights turn on. And now it's aiming time, essentially, because it's going to be hard to aim this once the, you know, bumper's on. So I'm going to back up the vehicle, make sure we've got it pretty much aligned with the low beams, just a little bit higher for, you know, auxiliary use. But yeah, we're about to put on the bumper, about 2 hours in. And everything's going smooth. I think it's about a 2.5 hour job all in, and I've been working by myself. All right, so here's what I've done. I got the low beams on, but not the high beams, and you can see the position of the SS5s now. You don't want it pointing down, you don't want it pointing up in the trees. You want it direct on. This could be changed later. You can fan them outwards if you want to put an angle, but I set them off. All right, so here's our full output of the combo. The white, it matches really well with the rest of the lighting on the front end. Dynamics SS3 fogs, Morimoto headlights, and the white amber, white DRL. And again, check out that fitment. Switch, everything works inside the cabin. Everything looks beautiful. Show you how I have everything set up here. And I believe I really nailed that alignment. Of course, you can reach in. You can probably actually get down there and adjust it pretty easily, but that looks spot on. It looks really, really bright. I used to personally run the dual 6-inch bars and the 30-inch bar down below, but the SS5s are just so much brighter. Looks absolutely amazing. But let us know what you think. This setup is available on our website. Let me see, put on the backlight. We've got a lot of other 4Runner specific goodies on the site. I mean, that backlight looks so good. 100% street legal. You can roll down the road like that, and for sure, everybody will know that you've got something special installed. So subscribe to the channel, contact us directly. We love to chat on the phone, send us an email. Happy to set you up with your own plug and play system, help you with a project that's custom, or just give you some insight on what's best for your needs. But we look forward to hearing from you and hopefully seeing you around these parts.